Hello there, my name is Lou Wieland, and I publish the Community Profiles magazines that are distributed by the First Multiple Listing Service of Atlanta. There are 5 publications, some of which are in partnership with some of the chambers of commerce in the area, such as the North Fulton Chamber of Commerce with our North Fulton magazine, and the Gwinnett publication in partnership with the Gwinnett Chamber, the Cobb publication in partnership with the Cobb Association of Realtors inside the perimeter in Atlanta. They are on my website, atlantacommunityprofiles.com, and on FMLS.com for the benefit of realtors. You have to be a realtor to log on to that site. But the publications are full of information about the area. We've profiled the counties and the communities and schools and other information. They're designed to be of help to realtors and their goal to provide their clients with information about Atlanta and our ever-changing and phenomenally rapidly growing city. And I'm a realtor with KW Commercial. If I can help you with any of your real estate needs, my email is lou@louwheeland.com. And every month, as often as I can corral the president of FMLS to come on the show, we interview the president and CEO of FMLS, Jeremy Crawford. Welcome back to the show for the first time this year, and we have a lot to talk about. Welcome back to the show, Jeremy.
Thanks so much, Lou. It's great to be here kicking off the new year.
We have a lot to talk about, but first of all, I would like to just extend a congratulations to you for being appointed to the Swanepoel Power 200, the 200 most powerful and influential executives in the residential real estate brokerage industry. So congratulations on what a great achievement that is, 200 people in the entire United States in the industry. Also, congratulations for being in the Cobb Association of Realtors, the affiliate of the year. So a lot of good, a little bit of recognition for all your hard work and all the phenomenal things that you've done to improve life for us slaving realtors out there. And basically, Jeremy, a lot has happened since in wrapping and trying to put our hands around what happened last year. But one of the things that is most impressive to me as an agent is that we are now the 6th largest multiple listing service in the nation, considering that we're only like the 9th largest city in America or something like that. I don't know. I think where are we anyway? We're like are we in the top 10? I don't know. Or 9th largest or what?
Definitely in the top 10, but Lou, we are actually now the 4th largest MLS in the nation. The state of Georgia has the 4th largest number of real estate professionals licensed, and FMLS just surpassed this year Boston, Chicago, and Miami to be the 4th largest MLS in the nation. We now have over 50,000 MLS subscribers, including yourself, Lou, but comprising of brokers and agents as well as appraiser members at FMLS. So we have eclipsed over 50,000 subscribers. We're very excited about that and hope we can help them out as we've done so many others throughout the years.
Well, you did a great job helping us last year in a really difficult climate, but the results would not indicate that it was a very difficult year. How would you characterize last year for the industry?
Well, obviously, Lou, with the COVID pandemic and the overall economic factors out there, we saw something that no one had really estimated, which was the housing economy pulling along positive aspects within the Georgia marketplace. And as we take a look at some of the statistics I have here to share for us on the screen today, Lou, it's amazing to me and the staff and leadership of FMLS, the productivity of the brokers and agents during a pandemic year. I mean, they had to pivot their business to do things like virtual showings, keep their clients safe and healthy as best they can, while buyers also realized the lowest interest rates of all time for fixed mortgages, like a 30-year fix going down to 3%. And the housing economy wasn't talked about as much in the news as other economic factors that were negatively impacted. But fortunately for the marketplace, we had a record year for FMLS, but a record year for our brokers and agents there. And let's take a look at some of the great statistics that we have, Lou. Just right off the bat, looking at how we ended up in 2020, is that a low inventory scenario existed during April and May and June. Sellers were very skeptical about listing their properties and staying safe. But we still ended the year with a record over 93,000 units were sold throughout 2020. It's a 2% increase over 2019, which was a record year. But the sales dollar volume is really essential to the conversation, as we did through your all's work with the brokers and agents, nearly $32 billion in transactions that FMLS helped brokers and agents transact last year, a pandemic year, and that's a 10% increase over 2019, which was also a record year for us. So statistically speaking, the amount of sales, but the dollar volume was amazing, especially with the low inventory challenges. As you can see, the number of active listings we had last year were down 32% for detached listings. So the brokers and agents did 10% more dollar volume, 2% more listings, but detached listings, which are majority of the sales in residential real estate, the inventory was down 32%. And with attached listings like your townhomes and condominiums that are out there, also had record sales with low inventory perspectives. And so it's amazing for us to see that kind of productivity in a pandemic year, knowing the brokers and agents are able to serve their clients and do that level of record-setting housing transactions in the greater Atlanta marketplace. You know, we also saw an influx of relocation to Georgia. It was one of the top cities for relocation out of states such as California, where people were moving around. And so that helped drive the business on top of the aspects of low interest rates. But home affordability is also important. And you can see the average sales price for a detached listing was up 9% compared to 2019. So it's very important to take a look at home affordability and how those increases in the average sales prices out there are going to still have some constraints on some of those first-time home buyers that are out there in the marketplace. You know, we saw 136,000 new listings for sale last year. That was down 7.5%. What's very interesting to see is that for the month of December, we actually had a 6.3 increase in the number of new pending listings with that decrease. And so for the first time ever, as we moved into January, we're seeing the number of pending listings be as much, if not more, than the number of new listings that are being added. And we've really got a situation of extremely low inventory right now, statistically speaking. You know, some of the other aspects I will comment on from the FMLS perspective is that with all of these increases, our agents were extremely busy. Our call volume was up last year 15%. We maintained a 92% plus satisfaction rating because we survey every caller or email or chat that comes into customer support. We issued 36% more CE accredited training credits, and we did that virtually through live when we had to pause our in-person classes. And we actually trained over 20,000 students last year and had a huge increase in the number of classes as we doubled down doing those virtually. So productivity overall, we had record numbers. We had record numbers for new membership. As I mentioned, we surpassed 50,000 subscribers. We had a 5% increase in the number of brokerages, the number of offices, a 10% increase in the number of agents that are using FMLS in 1 year. So from that perspective, it was amazing. And to take a look at some of the showing activity, you can see as we're moving into January right now and February, our weekly average of showings are up 15.9%. We have an extremely low inventory, but the weekly average compared year over year is up 15.9%. As looking at January and February, which is historically a slower month, has actually changed the dynamics of what we used to call the spring selling season over to now buyers and sellers looking in December and January and February for those showings overall. And Lou, I can tell you just with a click of a picture, you can see the sales prices increase in the greater FMLS market area. And as we look at days on market, you can see where we are right now with days on market. Days on market for all of FMLS is at a historic low of 12. I mean, there were times where we were up in the 35 to 40 days on market range in the past 4 or 5 years. We're down for the entire area of FMLS for 12. And if I started to reduce some of the higher end properties, you're going to see days on market extremely low. We hear a lot of listings that are selling within a few days out there now because of the buyers and the interest rates and the healthy economy. So Lou, hopefully it gives us some insight as to where we are and ending up with 2020 and kind of how we're looking towards exiting out of January 2021 and what the market's doing.
I would also like to say, Jeremy, speaking of some of the recognitions that we've received that you've received at FMLS last year, is that FMLS was #1 in the entire country in the number of virtual open houses, which has been a significant reason, in my opinion, for our success last year in Atlanta. And congratulations to you and the work that you've done and the technology that you've brought to our market from other cities you've been in, worked in.
Thank you so much, Lou. We were the first MLS in the nation to launch virtual open houses and virtual showing platforms with Remine, with Cloud CMA, and with Showing Time. We launched those first in our marketplace, and that led to obviously us being up there in the number of virtual showings that we had. But really a big kudos to also the FMLS leadership and the staff that does a ton of work to make those things happen behind the scenes and get those products and services out to the members as they really needed to pivot that business last year and look towards trying to solve the demand in the housing marketplace and help the overall Georgia economy out.
And now that you mention it, hats off to the people at the help desk who are manning the chat boxes and who are available to talk to on the telephone. I personally am a struggle to some degree with technology, and your people are just amazing in terms of their attitude and the extent to which they will go to help agents, including older agents like me who are not accustomed to all the extremely high technology that's available. And they do it in a really professional, helpful manner, and I can't speak highly enough of the staff that you have recruited there that man that department. Now the problem is inventory, as you mentioned, and what do you see? How do you see that affecting our lives this year? Do you have a? You are mainly focused on history, right? Or what the past looks like, and what are we doing now? Do you do much forecasting, or how would you characterize that issue that we have, which is big?
Well, I mean, from the forecasting perspective, we look at the statistical data in-house with FMLS and can see the inventory constraints just based upon the sheer volume of sales and the lack of new listings being added out there and the drop in days on market. We actually held our First Look 2021 event, Lou, earlier this year, and we had 3 chief economists, Lawrence Yoon, who's the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors, as well as Dr. Rajiv, as well as John Hunt, join us and give forecasting out. That economic forecast was recorded, and so our members can log into FMLS.com and look at that. So as you're looking at the predictions for the housing economy for this year, I would encourage everyone to look at FMLS.com and go take a look at the recording of those three economists that presented the last week of January, and actually had a discussion between the three of them on a panel held virtually, obviously. But our focus is really the tool sets and how can we help the brokers and agents with the inventory out there. We launched last year the Middle Georgia MLS data share, and also vending products and services to their 650 agents. And when we did the partnership with them 2 years ago, we didn't predict the inventory challenges. We didn't think that Atlanta-based agents were driving to Macon, and guess what? They're driving to Macon. So we augmented their ability to see the inventory right there through FMLS from Macon, Georgia, and they're doing a lot of sales in the area. It's not too far from the Southern Crescent, and with the changes in commuting and remotely working from home, we've got a lot of buyers that are going down into the Middle Georgia marketplace looking at inventory. But Lou, I wanted to show you a couple of tools that we have available to help agents get out there with inventory, and how do they do that virtually. And so one platform that we have available today is Remine, and Remine allows them to farm a neighborhood just like they were walking through it, but do predictive analytics as to what's going on behind the scenes. So if you can see on my screen on the right, we've got a home listed here that's got a medium attached to it and a low attached to it. What that essentially is saying is there is a medium chance that this home buyer or this seller, potential homeowner, is going to be a seller. And so essentially you can pull up these reports and it will tell you each parcel what their seller score is. And we have that also with our Realist platform as well, which I pulled up. Every property has a sell score indicator. So agents and brokers can now use these tools to farm neighborhoods like they used to do in person and see some of these factors. It goes out and it grabs different characteristics of life. Things like, did you register for a wedding? That may mean a factor that you're going to buy and sell, or maybe a baby registry, or maybe unfortunate news such as a, divorce. These factors that are prompting people to move and sell their home are actually being aggregated by Remine and by Realist, and providing our members as a member benefit seller score indicators, so they can know not which 100 doors to knock on, but which 2 or 3 houses specifically have some of these indicators out there. And I would really, recommend out there that that's an opportunity. And the other area, Lou, which you had actually asked about before we started the show, is what are we doing with some of the other MLSs out there? And one discussion is greater lockbox reciprocity. We have lockbox keys that open FMLS properties today. We would love to see that expanded out into the Athens MLS market, the Northeast Georgia MLS market. Today, unfortunately, our key holders have to go get a secondary key from those MLSs. We would love to have reciprocity with them to open up the potential for more inventory in all of those areas out there, and be able to help expand the opportunities for inventory with the agents in Atlanta right here. As we know, the Atlanta greater area is growing and growing, and people are looking further out for inventory, especially with a lot of companies moving to a work remotely or a hybrid work remotely. So people are willing to drive into work 2 days a week versus 5, and look further outside of the perimeter, if you will, for some of those inventories. I'd also encourage our brokers and agents to think about the alternative property options, which we're helping to support more, and we can talk about a little bit of that later. But rentals, leases, commercial leases, property management, new construction, FMLS can help the brokers and agents with those property types and help bridge the gaps to their buyers and sellers with rentals, or be able to help them earn more potential revenue through doing commercial leasing, just like you do yourself. which is something that we added. So that's what I would kind of recommend out there so far, is to use some of these tools and be able to start farming to get the demand met with the inventory for potential sellers that are out there and available and potentially willing to sell once you have a conversation with them.
Now that you mention it, let's talk about auctions. What is FMLS doing with the auctions? Anyway, I've attended a couple of auctions on behalf of clients, and the number of houses that are in auctions is at an all-time low because of the delayed foreclosures and everything going on, forbearances and stuff. That's not going to be that way all year. We know that it will increase, and it will increase dramatically as these forbearances come to an end. So, what's FMLS doing on that, Jeremy?
Well, from an auction perspective, if there's an exclusive agreement, then our brokers and agents can list that within FMLS. To your point, we also, because of the inventory constraints, the numbers of expireds, withdrawals, and canceled listings are at an all-time low. In January, we saw specifically, Lou, a drop compared to last year of over 20% of the number of listings that either expired or withdrawn. They're selling, and I think that for some of those homes that are forbeared upon today, will have forgiveness potentially in some of those aspects. For those that might need to sell, it's a great time to sell because of being a seller's market out there. And the seller scores, just as I've shown, when a notice of default is filed on a property, that actually registers in the Remine and Realist seller scores. So the brokers and agents can help those homeowners when they see a notice of default filed. It's listed right there in the tax data we have available, and the agents can contact them and say, hey, let me help move your property. It's a seller's market right now. Inventory is low. You've got a notice of default. So let's sell that home and get you out of that mortgage situation before the notice of default goes into a potential foreclosure down the road. So we provide those tools available so that you're not seeing the listings go into withdrawn, go into auction, or go into foreclosed upon, because quite frankly, there are buyers out there for those properties today, and those sellers get an opportunity to get out of those loans and be able to move those properties with the help of the brokers and agents that are FMLS members.
And there was an announcement that came across this morning. I saw that interest rates, an indication, let's put it that way, that interest rates could be headed up. So this is the best time to sell while you can purchase a home at an unbelievably low interest rate. And it won't get any better, so it couldn't be a better time. But what would you like to talk a little bit about new construction, and how can builders and developers benefit by having more of their listings included in FMLS for the benefit of the agents? I know that's been a problem for me, having access to all the availabilities. How would you address that if you had a shout out to some of the builders, what would you tell them?
Well, I'm happy to announce today that Toll Brothers is an official FMLS broker member. So Toll Brothers just joined last month, and they're going to be listing their new construction development right within FMLS. D.R. Horton, another major builder in our market area, is also an FMLS broker member, so they list the new construction with us as well. For some of those other home builders, we would encourage them, if they do have a broker license, to also be an FMLS member. But if they don't, get with a broker and an agent that is an FMLS member. And I'd encourage the brokers and the agents out there that when they're looking for inventory, because they're definitely looking for inventory, look for new construction, new development, and go out there and talk to the construction companies and let them know, hey, we can help move your properties faster in this marketplace, put them into FMLS, get them advertised to those 50,000 subscribers who have hundreds of thousands of buyers for those properties out there. And we support new construction within FMLS. We support your ability to load up potential models that you might have, which would be coming about, all the way to that brand new completed shiny home out there that's ready for occupancy and everything in between. So we provide the technology tools to support that inventory. We're happy to see more builders who are licensed brokers join to list directly, but encourage all of our broker members to work with new construction companies to move those properties. There is a lot of movement out there and a lot of potential new construction projects. And as we also heard, Lou, recently, the tariffs from lumber from Canada were removed, if you will. And so building supplies have been constrained, as everyone knows, due to COVID for a lot of factors, some of those being tariff related. But I know that a lot of builders are looking forward to getting materials in from Canada for lumber where it's been constrained in the past. But I will say that there are a lot of people out there that say the home that you buy today will be the cheapest home you buy, especially in new construction, because we continue to see materials rise from that perspective. So the brokers and agents are the best to help those construction companies move those properties because they know the market best and they have the portfolio of buyers out there.
Well, builders have some of the best marketing people on the planet, some of the best graphic designers, but they don't really have anything on FMLS. If you want to give everybody a sneak preview of the new FMLS.com website, that's very state-of-the-art and keeps right up there with the builders. So you might be happy to share that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so our FMLS.com site today, we've had for many, many years, and it's been great and functional, but we are this year, as we're moving into 2021, opening that up. And so you'll see on your screen right now today, just a brief preview of the new homepage of FMLS.com that's going to be launched. We're going to have a lot more information pre-login for brokers, for agents, for construction companies, for appraisers, a lot of promos out there for getting access to products and services, how to get into our classes, what we offer from a CE accredited perspective. But we're going to have this brand new look and feel website, and we're going to be promoting out there, to the public what FMLS is and what we do, but the products and services we have. So when that broker or agent sits down with a potential builder, they can use FMLS.com to say, look at all these tools we have available to us right here from that perspective. And Lou, speaking of new websites, looking at 2021, we also touched on rentals, residential and commercial leases. We had over 17,000 residential and commercial leases transacted last year. That's up 14% compared to 2019. And as you know, we launched commercial lease in April as a property type, and we had nearly 2,000 commercial leases put in 6 months, and we've got less than 200 active right now. So FMLS is helping those commercial lease brokers and agents move those properties. And so we're going to be launching a portal that's going to be dedicated at its initial launch to rental and lease property types to drive free leads back to brokers and agents. So in Q2 of this year, you're going to see a new public-facing website so that commercial leases and rental properties have search opportunity. And that's one of the things we're going to be doing as we're launching some of these new initiatives this year to help brokers and agents find inventory and advertise those listings.
You showed me before the show a little bit about Airbnb and some of their cool stuff and how we're getting into that industry, which is large and growing. Can you share with everybody what's FMLS is doing in that category of property type?
Yeah, absolutely. Short-term property rentals has always been a vacation conversation. And as everyone is well aware, Airbnb and VRBO are the two largest platforms nationally in the United States for short-term rentals, going to the beach in Hilton Head or going up to the mountains in Blue Ridge. And one thing that we've recognized is that there's a lot of institutional buyers out there that work with our broker and agent members that would love to have some better tools for predicting what some of those markets are looking like. And so there's a company out of Australia called AirDNA, and they have a phenomenal platform that they provide. And we're doing a little partnership, if you will, with them and launching later this year, which will be integrated with Remind, is the ability to get to the AirDNA platform. And so this platform does a couple of really cool things, Lou. It aggregates all the data from Airbnb and VRBO, and then it provides the ability to run comps on properties that are either actively being rented or compare them against a property you might want to purchase. So I can look briefly in Hayesville, North Carolina on my screen today, and I can see in Hayesville, North Carolina, all the rental properties that are listed. Take a look at what's sitting on Lake Chattooga and look right there that we've got an average daily rent of $340. We've got an annual revenue opportunity of $25,000. This property may not be listed for sale, but me as an investor, I may want to call up this owner and say, hey, maybe I want to move that property. Or a lot of our brokers and agents do property management, and they do it either for their own properties or for their customers. And so we will have the ability to provide them a discounted offering so they can use this platform to price out the different aspects of short-term rentals. Not only that, you can know what the occupancy rates are in different market areas historically, what the hot seasons are, what your rates are, and how does that affect the entire home versus a condominium unit. And you can filter those out and take a look at, well, I want to buy a 3-bedroom home. What kind of rent am I getting in Hayesville? Well, it looks like we've got average daily rent of $200 just in that zip code alone, not counting if it is or isn't on the lake, which could be a factor. And so this is something we're going to be out there promoting in Q2 of this year and allowing our brokers and agents to use this. And there is a small fee that's discounted that will go directly to AirDNA when they provide a subscription for this. But it's something that we're doing to help with inventory challenges and help with other areas of the business for brokers and agents that either do property management or they help their investment buyers look at properties they may want to buy for short-term rentals down the road. It's a really cool platform, and stay tuned at FMLS.com next quarter to see how to get access to it and a lot of the details on it.
Looks like I'll be going back to class again.
We'll help you out, Lou.
I hope so, because it looks like a pretty wild chart you have there. It's pretty amazing. Hey, let me ask you this, and we haven't really discussed this topic, but one of the things that I learned at the Atlanta Commercial Board of Realtors webinar and Zoom meeting yesterday was the subleases that are happening as a result of, because of COVID. A lot of people are not going to work and they're reduced space. How do you see that market? Do you see FMLS getting involved in that or not, subleases for commercial buildings?
We want to support the brokers and agents listing the properties within FMLS. That's why we added, commercial lease as a new property type last year. There's going to be subleasing from that perspective. So we definitely want to support our brokers and agents to list those subleases. So list those within FMLS to get the best marketing of the property and the best potential income in that sublease arrangement. So from our perspective, it's helping them promote that. And what's interesting about that, Lou, is something that we're looking at is another development called co-working spaces, if you will. And so we have a lot of companies in the commercial market space, which you know better than I do, being the commercial agent and broker out there. But they're transitioning, and some of the companies that are out there or some of the individuals that are working from home need a shared office space. And we want to take our commercial leasing that we have today and expand it so it also supports those cohabitating shared office spaces. A couple of those that are in development in Atlanta is the Indie Spaces and the Indie Studios and Constellations They've done a really good job as providing shared workspaces, shared conference rooms, doing the guidelines as far as the health relation aspects go. And so we're looking to expand the commercial lease property type that we have today and work with the companies that are doing shared workspace leasing, which we think will grow as companies are shifting how they do business on and off site, and expand upon that within the commercial lease property type. So that's something we're going to work on as a research project this year. And we're going to work with specifically Gene Kansas is a commercial broker who has the Indie Studios in Atlanta, and his team, who also, by the way, does some amazing photography work, just like the construction marketing people, and see if we can help our brokers and agents provide them alternative options for people looking for shared and cohabitating workspaces as opposed to a full-time lease on a commercial building.
During that Atlanta Commercial Board of Realtors meeting yesterday, one of the points that they made was that we're almost at an all-time high in the volume of subleases available right now, and because of COVID and people working from home. So it's a very promising market, I think, for FMLS for sure. And I know a lot of agents in commercial real estate will be very interested, Jeremy, in the work that you're doing there. So basically this morning, before I left to come over to the studio to do this interview, I went into my broker's office at Keller Williams on Windward Parkway, Keller Williams, North Atlanta, Laura Dana Getty, if I could put in a plug for her. And I said, hey, listen, I've got access to the president of FMLS today on Facebook show. What would you think I should ask? And her question was, what about Zillow? You know, what's happening with Zillow? And sometimes some of the agents are not getting really the best information on their sales onto Zillow. And I personally have had a problem with that because, for one thing, Zillow does not include any commercial listings. And I had a commercial list. I was trying to get it on there, but couldn't do it. But what's this? Give us a little feel for the interaction with Zillow and some of these other platforms.
Absolutely. So many in the past are used to Zillow being what we call a real estate portal, and agents and brokers oftentimes would advertise their listings on that portal, do programs like Premier Agent, promote rental properties, etc. Zillow last year made the decision to become a real estate broker, no different than any other licensed broker in the state of Georgia. And so they discontinued the aspects of being a real estate portal company, and they joined FMLS as a broker. They have about 30 some agents with FMLS in membership today. And in doing so, they transitioned from a real estate portal, which Realtor.com still is today, if you can compare that, to being a standard broker and running a brokerage website with properties on that and following the rules and regulations that we have as a broker who would run an IDX website. Well, I can tell you when they made that transition, they did not do a good job of that, as they continued to offer the Premier Agent platform, but all of the agents saw all their listings disappear on their profile page. And Zillow is continuously working to correct that issue. It's been broken for months now. And so a lot of agents don't realize until they go to their profile page, their past sales, their pending sales, and maybe even their active listings are not there. You know, the listings are there if you search at Zillow.com, but on the agent profile pages, their productivity is not accurate. It's broken. We've reported it many times. It's a transition that Zillow is moving to be just a standard broker like any other broker in the marketplace, if you will. And the other aspect that they put into place is the rental program. Historically, they receive rentals from FMLS and they put them on Zillow.com like they do residential properties. They changed, And now if an agent wants their rentals, or a broker wants their rentals listed and advertised on Zillow, they have to sign up for Zillow's rental manager and pay a weekly fee for every rental they want displayed that week on the website. Kind of like a classified advertisement back in the day when we had newspapers and we ran an ad for a week or a weekend for an apartment. Zillow has moved the rental side of their business to be similar to that. So the brokers and the agents who want to advertise rentals on Zillow.com has to reach out to them and set up an account with the rental manager, and they have to do their listings through the rental manager before they're on Zillow. And that includes Trulia and HotPads as well, two other large sites that Zillow owns that are within the scope of the rental program that they're doing there. And so we at FMLS hear the challenges and hear the complaints from the agents and the brokers that their productivity is not showing up correctly. This is all within the scope of Zillow transitioning to a broker, and it's up to Zillow to correct those issues. They get the same brokerage feed that all of our other brokers get with all the data in it. They have the data. It's a matter of how they're displaying it and putting the data together. And it's things that they're actively working on. And I know they wanted that corrected a long time ago, but the issues persist there at Zillow with the display of data, or the challenges more so in communication with the brokers and agents, what's going on with the rentals or with their Premier Agent profile pages. So hopefully, Lou, that gives everyone a little bit of an insight. And from a Realtor.com perspective, they still are a full-fledged portal feed from FMLS. And I'd encourage all the brokers to set FMLS as their MLS of choice in the broker dashboard, as we hear challenges at times when other MLSs are not updating the data feeds, or the agents are not updating the listings, and those listings go stale. And we usually have the most accurate and up-to-date information, and there's an option within the Realtor.com broker panel is to select FMLS as the primary MLS. That way, you know all your listings are up to date and as accurate as possible when they're displayed on Realtor.com as a portal.
And just winding up, Jeremy, I would like to put in a request as a commercial agent, and I've spent a lot of money every month for CoStar to get commercial listings, and I would love to see FMLS get more involved in land and multifamily hotels and things like that. So I don't know if I could see that. I think you're probably thinking about that. If I'm not mistaken, I'll bet you are, but maybe you can't talk about it. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's on your mind, because it's a big market.
Well, we definitely want to expand the opportunities that are available, and also are aware that the Atlanta Commercial Association has launched a commercial MLS system, is my understanding, that's also available. But again, we added commercial lease last time for those same requests, Lou, and we're going to continue to evolve and expand that and offer more opportunities from that perspective as we can do so. And we do support, multifamily housing, which is a big topic in today's environment, and have a lot of different property types to support, residential income and multifamily housing, 2 to 4 units. Don't have a lot of hotels listed yet, Lou, but there's a car dealership that's about 30 grand a month in a lease, I believe, that we do have as one of our top leases, but it may already be leased out there. So we're doing our best to support any listings that can help our brokers and agents.
Well, I wanted to also just pretty much close by saying thank you for the Mindflash program, where I know you've had a 36% increase in attendance of that, and I think you had a 54% increase in training.
Yep.
So that's been very helpful for me, especially with a 30-minute retention span. You have a good opportunity to get in there and look at that at your leisure.
Yep, and that is something that we launched in Q4 of last year to help brokers and agents. So we have CE accredited classes in the Mindflash platform today, and that's a self-paced platform. So instead of sitting there for 3.5 hours for those 3 hours of CE credits, you can actually take the 30-minute break and do it at your own pace along the way. We have our Remind transaction management platform in there today, and our Remind Ad Edit platform, which, by the way, Lou, is available as a member benefit. So our brokers no longer have to pay for bridge listing input or Swift listing input to do dual entry. They can get Remind Ad Edit as a member benefit at no cost versus paying those companies outside today for dual entry. But we have those, and we'll be growing this course catalog with Mindflash. So eventually all of our CE accredited training through the FMLS Institute that we've done live, as well as done virtually live, will be in the Mindflash platform. We'll get those certified and move those out so you can get into self-paced training and still get those CE credits that you need. We're very excited about it. We've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of agents already use it, and we really just launched the first class in December of last year.
Well, there you have it. Now you can see why he's been recognized as one of the top 200 executives in residential real estate in the nation. And we sure are grateful to have you here. Couldn't come at a more perfect time with all the COVID and also the extreme need for the maximum amount of technology that's required in the real estate industry, and because of its really evolving nature. And it's just so complicated and competitive and so much more that people demand to know about their biggest investment that they make in their life. So great to have you on the show, Jeremy. Appreciate all the work that you do and your staff, especially your support staff over there that support the agents. They are second to none in the nation, and I would like to absolutely, again, congratulate them on their outstanding work. And again, thank you very much for listening, and Jeremy for being on the show. And again, my magazines are on AtlantaCommunityProfiles.com and on FMLS.com for the benefit of agents. And if you wanted to just go on there, and you can forward those to your clients so they can learn about Atlanta and save yourself a lot of research, because my information about the profiles of the communities is up to date, and I'm very, very helpful to people, especially moving here from out of town or even across town. So thank you for listening, and have a nice day.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you, everyone.